This is Mary Collardetta, and we're looking at how to know God's will. To know God's will is to know Him. When He sees us and what we do and what we say and what we think, He knows us, and the goal is for us to know each other. Okay, so today we're looking at Genesis chapter 11, verses 1 through 9. A brief summary of verses 10 through 31, and then Genesis chapter 10, verse 25. So first, Genesis 11, 1 through 9. The whole world had the same language and the same words. When they were migrating from the east, they came to a valley in the land of Shinar, and they settled there. They said to one another, "Come, let us mold bricks and harden them with fire." They used bricks for stone and bitumen for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the sky, and so make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we shall be scattered all over the earth." The Lord came down to see the city and the tower that the people had built. Then the Lord said, "If now, while they are one people and all have the same language, they have started to do this, nothing they presume to do will be out of their reach. Come, let us go down and there confuse their language, so that no one will understand the speech of another." So the Lord scattered them from there all over the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel, or Babel, because there the Lord confused the speech of all the world. From there the Lord scattered them all over the earth. So this is the story of the Tower of Babel. Now the next verses, 10 through 31, is the lineage from Shem, the son of Noah, on to Abram. So it goes from Shem to Abram. And then in the midst of this, there's a descendant from Shem whose name is Peleg. And in chapter 10, 25, it says here, let's see. To Eber, the descendants of Shem, 2 sons were born. The name of the first was Peleg, for in his time the world was divided. Okay, so the world was divided during the time of Peleg, or Peleg. So let's go back to this whole thing about the Tower of Babel. So the people were of one language. They all understood each other. They used the same words. And then what God says about this, when he comes down to look at the city, he says, "If now, while they are one people and all have the same language, they have started to do this, to build this tower to heaven, nothing they presume to do will be out of their reach." So this people were reaching a tower to heaven. And it's interesting that they say, we need to do this. They say, come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the sky to make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered all over the earth. Now, that's a curiosity, because they are of one people. They're building this city and this tower. It's to the top of the sky. Sounds like a skyscraper. And they're doing this to make a name for themselves, lest they be scattered over the earth. So they kind of already know before they're even starting. That's why they're making this decision, that we don't want to be scattered over the earth, so we're going to do this thing. And God says, if they do this thing, they're of one mind, one language, they're one people, then nothing will be out of their reach, he says. Nothing they presume to do will be out of their reach. Now, does that mean they can overcome God? No. God made them. If they could overcome God, then they would have been able to do this. But no. So, he confuses their language so that they all begin to speak a different language. All languages come from the same roots. So now, and then he scatters them. Now, I kind of tend to think, but I could be very wrong, that this happened during the days of Peleg, because during his time, the earth was divided. So some scholars say it was divided into the continents. The earth split, the whole, is it called Pangea or something, where the continents divided. So, because all the continents are on plates, and these plates are constantly shifting, but that's neither here nor there. The point is that it was not God's will for them to build this tower to heaven and this city. And so Babel becomes a symbol of rebellion against God. And what does God do with rebellion? Well, he does things. In this case, probably had some compassion on them, because all he did was give them different languages and then had them scattered. So it's the beginning of the different language things. But he says, well, here's what I think, just my opinion, that at one time in Babel, they thought they could reach to the top of heaven with what they had built, because they were of one mind and one language. How is that similar to today? I don't think we are of one mind, not by a long shot, but are we of one language? What do we have that enables us to be of one language? Now, you might say that English is the language of the world, and in a lot of places it is. It's the second language. But the computer has all these translation things. So now, you can translate anything in a blip. So we have regained the power to be of one language. So I kind of believe that heavenly forces, remember, our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities and powers of this dark world and spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. That's our warfare. So it was their inspiration to the people to rebel against God and create this tower to heaven. There's a lot more. You know, the ancient towers were called ziggurats, the pyramids, and but the point is that without God, being of one mind and language, if we're not with God, we are against him. It's kind of what he says. So we know it's his will that we not rebel against him. And we think, well, I'm not doing this, has nothing to do with me. The only thing that really has to do with us today is the fact that we are very close to a time period when we are in rebellion again. And by my hand I have done this. And that's by my hand, not yours, God. And so the only thing we need to know here is that God is in control and he wins. And we know that God is holy and pure and righteous and love. And he gives us the fruit of the Spirit. So do I want to be on that side, or do I want to be on an opposing side? Thank you for watching.